Good afternoon, baseball fans. How you doing? Well, oh well, Trevor Bauer has been suspended for 2 seasons. What will happen next? What is going on, everyone? Hello. Right around 50 people in the chat to start things off. I just waited a few minutes so I can try and get some people to come on in. As you can see, usually when I'm live, it's usually not as bright. My window is right here, and it says beaming in all the sunlight. So, not the usual time I go live, but hey, big story here. Big story. I'm a little shocked. To be honest. I've been kind of taking it in. I was driving home and was kind of just, just kind of reading all the comments out there, reading the stories, getting all the details on it, and just letting it kind of marinate, let it digest a little bit. And after, driving home from work, I literally just walked in. So this is why I'm only going live right now. So, but after letting it digest a little bit, I'm shocked, but I'm not shocked at the same time. It's a bit of both. Oh, hold on one second. I got to plug in my iPad. Okay. All right. My charger is not here. Alrighty. So don't worry about that. But yeah, I'm shocked, but I'm not shocked at the same time. To me, this is, if I were to classify it with one word, this was a statement, in my opinion, my personal opinion. I definitely think when it comes down to it, Trevor Bauer was getting involved in some nonsense that he shouldn't have been involved with in the first place. This is a guy, he's getting paid a ton of money, high profile player, already a lightning rod of a player. And, he's kind of going out there and he's just partaking in activities that he probably should not be. So with Trevor Bauer, let me just dive into it. I have some articles pulled up here. Let me actually just pull up the article here. And then I'll kind of get into the details of what I'm thinking. But here is the story. Trevor Bauer is suspended 2 full seasons. Commissioner Rob Manfred announced on Friday that following an extensive investigation by MLB's Department of Investigations, Los Angeles Dodgers pitcher Trevor Bauer has received a suspension for 324 season games without pay, effective today, for violating Major League Baseball's joint domestic violence, sexual assault, and child abuse policy. Now, let's just dive into the whole investigation right from the very beginning. So, with this investigation, there were some pretty horrific claims. This is a child-friendly show, so I'm not going to get too deep into the details, but there were a lot of claims made about Trevor Bauer, a lot of violent claims, a lot of, don't sound great on paper. However, when this did go to court, there was no conclusive evidence that was found. Yes, there was, he said, she said, there were some photographs, but there were some things that were deemed a little misleading. If we take a look here at this is a good article here on sportingnews.com. They kind of just give you a rundown. So these were the allegations against Trevor Bauer. So this was a woman named Miss Hill at her attorney's request. They met through Instagram. They first met up on April 21st. She described that the first encounter escalated to Bauer performing multiple sexual acts without consent. Bauer, on the other hand, has said that it was fully consensual. She alleged that Bauer choked her to the point of unconsciousness and punched her in the face. Oh, my goodness. And Miss Hill also claims that he initiated everything without her consent. He contends that they were both consensual. So this is kind of he said, she said. So, and there were text messages where it kind of backed up Bauer a bit. So, taking a look here, Miss Hill sought medical attention a day after the second encounter. An intake form indicated head and facial trauma, but a CT scan and MRI revealed no such injuries, according to public record. References to signs of a basilar skull fracture from the intake form have since been ruled by Judge Deanna Gould Saltman to have been materially misleading. So that's where there was some stuff out there from her side where it seemed a little stretched. It seemed a little far-fetched. Now, I'm not saying Trevor Bauer didn't do anything wrong. I'm just saying it was concluded in a court that these claims were misleading, and her intake form originally did not reveal any such injuries at all. So there was also a restraining order put on Trevor Bauer. It was an ex parte restraining order, but that was actually denied. So taking a look here, an LA County Superior Court judge later denied Ms. Hill's request to make the ex parte restraining order permanent and dissolve the ex parte restraining order after a July 23rd hearing in which Bauer was able to respond, refute the allegations. So that was another, thing for Trevor Bauer on his side, where, if there was enough evidence to conclude that he was absolutely, undeniably in the wrong, then you would have seen something like this be approved. You would have seen something like this become permanent. And but it was not, and it was dismissed. So taking a look here, Bauer's agent, John Fedorov, issued a statement to Yahoo Sports saying Ms. Hill's basis for filing a protection order is not existent, fraudulent, and deliberately omits key facts, information, and her own relevant communications. Any allegations that the pair's encounters were not 100% consensual are baseless, defamatory, and will be refuted to the fullest extent of the law. Trevor Bauer, also don't forget, he did make a video. So if you haven't gone to look at that video, again, it is his words. This is really a he said, she said thing. But he did make a video a while back. He called it The Truth. I think it's worth a watch. I think it's, to me, I think we've gotten to a point in this world where we need to stop saying people are guilty right away. It needs to be innocent until proven guilty. It can't be guilty until proven innocent. We need to start getting away from that. We need to see all of the evidence. And but once all the evidence was reviewed and everything, the charges were dropped ultimately. That's the big thing here with the Trevor Bauer case is all of the charges were dropped. There was no conclusive evidence to support that her claims were true. Now, I'm not saying anything didn't happen, but there was no conclusive evidence to even bring this any further in court. So, Trevor Bauer, he did go on to say in his video, "I'm not a perfect person. If you want to judge me for engaging in rough sex with a woman that I hardly knew, that's okay too. In evaluating my life in recent months, it's clear that I've made some poor choices, particularly in regards to the people I've chosen to associate with." And that's where I do think he went wrong. I do think he went wrong there, because it's just like, what are you doing? Like, you're meeting up. You're Anthony Martino. Thank you for subscribing. This is where I think he did make a mistake, and because listen, you're making millions. You're a high profile guy. I think he got ahead of himself. I think he kind of probably was getting a little overconfident in himself, and he's like, "Oh, okay, all right, girl on Instagram, all right, yeah, we'll meet up." To me, the smart thing to do was, first off, not even messaging girls on Instagram at all. I'm not sure why that's even happening. I mean, it's like, dude, you don't know who's out there. You don't know who you're going to be dealing with, especially when you're a high-profile guy like that. And you're a lightning rod of a player. So without looking at anything else, that was a big mistake on his part for just doing that in the first place. And the same goes for a woman with a man. A woman should be doing the same thing with a man. Don't just go out there. If you're a high profile person, you shouldn't be just dabbling, with anyone. You got to kind of be a little more careful about who you talk to and who you deal with, and you never know what could end up happening. But with Bauer, I think also, let me make this point even more clear. Come on. We can't be partaking in those kind of activities so soon. Come on. We got to, have a little control, my friend. Have a little control, especially when you are such a high-profile player. Frodo Serta, at any other job, you are fired immediately for this. Now, I will say, I agree. With today, especially in today's world, you definitely... I would also say it just depends, on the workplace. I would say I wouldn't say every single workplace you're at, but to me, the responsible company would investigate. They would look into it, and especially if it was brought to a court of law and it was dismissed, I think that definitely helps out in this case, Bauer in his favor. Well, I guess it didn't really help him out, but I agree with you. Like you know, companies are very non-tolerant when it comes to stuff like this. And, you know, I don't know, but is it right? That's a different discussion. Now, you can have a different discussion about that, but I think everything should be investigated fully. I do think Trevor Bauer was very irresponsible, and any person to that matter, if they were to partake in, you know, these kind of activities, you know, it's not responsible. It's not. And now I'm not going to get into the, you know, the gritty little details of what they were doing, you know, in the behind closed doors, you know, whatever. But it sounds like it did get kind of violent. It sounds like it did. You know, it sounds like, you know, hey, it probably could have calmed that down a little bit. And Bauer, and if this kind of stuff, you know, did happen, whatever, to me, you got to be more careful, and you got to be more aware of the other person too. So again, I don't want to like go too deep into that, but at the end of the day, where the facts lie is this was dismissed in a court of law. It was dismissed at the end of the day. The restraining order was not filed. That was dismissed as well. The charges were dropped. Those are the facts. Those are the facts that we have. Now, again, I want to stress this. I'm not saying Trevor Bauer didn't do anything wrong. I definitely think Trevor Bauer he had his moments here. Also, my iPad. I just realized I left my charger for my iPad at work because here's my silly potato self trying to rush home to do this video. And so now my iPad doesn't have a charger. So now I got to use the trusty old phone to help me out. So here we go. Frodo Serta, another $2 super chat. Yes, it's right. Bauer represent MLB as an employee. And yes, I do agree with you on that. Yes, Trevor Bauer, at the end of the day, he represents Major League Baseball. He should have conducted himself in a better way. If you're an employee, especially of a multi-billion-dollar company with Major League Baseball, I mean, come on, you got to conduct yourself in a much better fashion, my friend. You can't just be out here just running wild, you know, talking to girls on Instagram. I mean, and, you know, but then once, you know, fine, whatever, if you do that, but then once it gets to the next point, I mean, come on, you got to be a little more careful, and you got to be a little more aware. I think he lacked self-awareness here or I think he lacked awareness of another person in this situation. I definitely think he could have done a lot better. And I think he would admit the same thing. I think he would say, yeah, I really, I kind of just got ahead of myself here, you know, and I think I kind of let, you know, things go a little too far. I don't know. With me, if that were me, I'll tell you that right now. If I was Trevor Bauer and I just got a huge contract from the Dodgers and I had this whole big free agency, I'm sorry, I'm not messaging girls on Instagram. I'm not doing that. That's not going to happen. I'm not just going to randomly start talking to someone on Instagram I don't even know. I'm not doing that. I think that's where he did not conduct himself in a mature professional way. I think he did fail in that part, and I don't think he represented Major League Baseball in a great manner. So I do agree with you there, Frodo. But now, however, what I'm talking about here is we're looking at the facts, and at the end of the day, yes, I understand the court system is different from how Major League Baseball conducts themselves. Major League Baseball, they are a private company, and that's why, getting back to that super chat, yes, it is very important that you conduct yourself professionally with whatever company you work for. But Major League Baseball, they have the right to do what they want because they are a private company. So they can make their own rules. They can suspend anyone for however long they want. What I will say is where I'm seeing this argument a lot, and it's a good argument, because I think what a lot of people would say here is Bauer. I think a lot of people agree that maybe that Bauer was pretty stupid in this case. No matter how far, you know, you support Bauer or you don't support Bauer, I think everyone would agree. I think we could reach common ground that Trevor Bauer did not conduct himself in the best way possible. I fully think everyone will agree with that. Now, how far you go with that, that's your own opinion. But where I think a lot of people I'm still seeing other people disagreeing with this, but where I lie in this, where it just doesn't feel very consistent. Now, what I'm talking about is the Marcell Ozuna one, where Marcell Ozuna, there's literally a video. There is conclusive evidence of him grabbing his wife by the throat, and there's video evidence of it. You know, yes, it did not look like it was a very good marriage that was going on. And another super chat coming on. Frodo Serta, $2 super chat. Long suspension because MLB knows appeal is coming regard. Yeah, and I'm gonna touch on that in a second as well. Thank you so much for that. I really do appreciate that. But where I'm thinking here is it just doesn't feel very consistent with the Marcell Ozuna thing. There was actually conclusive evidence, graphic evidence of Marcell Ozuna, and I guess there was a claim about him hitting his wife with his cast or whatever it was, but there's an actual video there of him grabbing his wife by the throat, and they arrested him, and they took him away. I believe the charges were dropped, but it was assault, and I was on camera. And Marcell Ozuna only got suspended for 20 games. That's where, to me, I don't like the inconsistency. Now, I do understand that Major League Baseball and the players, usually they'll meet and they'll come to some sort of a settlement. Now, I think what happened here was Trevor Bauer, I think he just said no to any sort of a settlement. I don't think this is what Major League Baseball said or I don't think this is what they offered. I think they probably offered for the rest of this season, and then whatever else included. But then Trevor Bauer said, no, absolutely not. I'm not getting suspended. I didn't do anything wrong. We went to court. Charges were dropped. My name was cleared. I'm not getting suspended at all. I don't want that on my name, because I can understand where he's coming from too. If he really didn't do anything wrong, if he feels like he didn't, and everything was dropped in a court of law, and if he truly believes in his heart that he didn't do anything wrong, then he doesn't want that, because if he accepts it, if he accepts those charges, then he's admitting he basically did those things. So in a way, I can understand why he would reject any sort of a settlement when it comes to the suspension. And that's why I think this suspension, it looks so ridiculous, because I don't want to say ridiculous, that's not the right word, but so long, where 2 years, that's a long suspension compared to someone like Marcell Ozuna, who only got 20 games. That's the big one that you're seeing. That's the big inconsistency that we are seeing. So, now getting back to, Frodo Soto, you said here, long suspension because MLB knows appeal is coming. Yeah, and I think they probably just said, you know what, fine, like we'll just up it a bit because we know he's going to appeal. Because Major League Baseball, at the end of the day, I think we could all agree as well, or at least most people I think would agree. I think this is a statement. I do. I think Trevor Bauer, he has been, for Major League Baseball, they have viewed him as a headache. He's always out there in the news. He's also had other issues as well. I think there was a woman in Ohio or something, where there were some allegations there as well. I don't know. But Major League Baseball, they don't seem to be too fond of Trevor Bauer. He's called them out with a lot of stuff. He's called out Rob Manfred about a lot of stuff. I'm sure that hasn't helped him here. So in this case, I think with Bauer, Major League Baseball, they really wanted to lay down the hammer. Sure, maybe there was some personal feelings there too from Rob Manfred as well. Like, screw this guy. We're going to lay down the hammer here. All right, if he doesn't want to accept a settlement, all right, we're going to lay it down. 2 years. Frodo, what's going on, man? You are, Frodo, I got to say, man, you are amazing with these super chats. You are amazing. Thank you for supporting the channel. Major League Baseball hates Bauer. MLB wants to set new precedent. I agree with that. And that's actually leading into my next point. Now, it's a long suspension. I think we can all agree this is like pretty massive. And the last time I can think of a player getting suspended this long, bear with me, my potato brain doesn't like to work sometimes. But I would say, was it A-Rod that got suspended for a long time? I mean, I know Pete Rose, obviously, he got, well, not suspended, but he got banished from the Hall of Fame. But with A-Rod, I think that was the longest suspension, I think. If I feel like I'm probably forgetting something. So, anyway, in a way, I can agree with Major League Baseball in that way, because no matter what happened here, something did happen here. It did. No matter what, I think we can all agree, at the very least, something not good happened. I know that sounds a little silly saying it like that, but something not good happened in this, whatever this situation was. Now, Major League Baseball, they've been having issues with domestic violence. They've been having these issues come up. And now I know these other guys have not been getting long-term suspensions, and I think Major League Baseball, they've been hearing it with some of these guys. You know, we had some other guys too. Let me actually pull up here. Here we go. Now, let's take a look at some of the guys that have been suspended. There's been some, pretty ugly ones. We had, don't forget, Domingo Germán not too long ago. Taking a look, Sam Dyson, don't forget about him. That was a pretty odd one. Actually, Sam Dyson was in my video that I posted earlier today about Jose Bautista. If you haven't seen that video, please go check it out. I just posted it today. It's about a 10-minute video running through Jose Bautista's career really quick. Also, let me get caught up on the Super Chats here. Nick, what's going on, my friend? How you doing? Can the Dodgers cut him while he's suspended? That's a good question. I don't know. I think there's the whole it's without pay, so I think that they could. I don't know. They're probably going to wait for the appeal process to play out. I don't quite know the answer to that. But I definitely think the appeal process should probably play out before any of that stuff starts to come out. But that's a very good question, Nick. I'm going to try and look into that. I would imagine that they probably could, because if Major League Baseball did the suspension, I don't know. Whoa! DeAndre Falcon with a $10 super chat. Also, before I read that, Alex Silva, 324. That's a lot. Think they will settle on a year. Alex, I do think they will eventually settle on something. DeAndre Falcon, $10 super chat. I told you guys a few live streams ago, a year or two, no one believed me. I agree. I didn't believe you. I was thinking, all right, maybe half a season, because I figured the charges were dropped. So they don't hate the man, even though he wasn't charged. The things he did to those women alone was enough. Now, this is where it gets a little hairy, just because it was brought to a court of law. And the evidence was presented. There were some misleading things coming from her side. There were text messages that supported Trevor Bauer's case. Now, I'm not necessarily saying Trevor Bauer didn't do anything. I'm not saying he didn't do anything wrong. I definitely think he could have handled things a lot better. Whether it was just simply just meeting the person in the first place, but even if it got to that point, I think he absolutely could have done a much better job. And I think we can all agree on that. Now, all I'm going off of is the facts. All I'm going off of is the evidence that's been presented. All I'm going off of is everything that we know. And what I know is that the charges were dropped. Now, I could, maybe try and assume or whatever, but, I don't like to go that far. I just like to look at the evidence, and I like to look at what is presented. In the end, the charges were dropped. Now, I'm not saying he didn't do anything wrong, and I think he would admit, yeah, he probably did something wrong, a little bit at least. But, I don't think they hate Trevor Bauer, and I agree with you there. I don't think they hate him, but I do wonder if there's a little something there where they want to maybe go a little tough on him. I could see something like that, because they've been having to hear a lot of stuff from Trevor Bauer for a while now. They've been hearing, Rob Manfred especially. He's been hearing a lot from Trevor Bauer. Maybe this is, their way to be like, you know what? This is our chance to not only, the most important thing is here, now let me get back to this point, is the most important thing here is, yes, there needs to be awareness about this kind of stuff. Domestic violence, absolutely not. Get it the heck out of here. We can't be having this stuff here. When it comes to everything under that umbrella, any type of abuse, no, it's obviously not welcome here. And I will never support anything like that. And if anyone does support any type of domestic violence or whatever, then they need to be shunned forever. I'm a non-violent person. I don't believe in any of that stuff. I think it's ridiculous. So I do agree that Major League Baseball, however, this is what I'm thinking here. This is where I'm thinking. Major League Baseball, I am in a way, I can agree with them coming down with the hammer on Trevor Bauer in this situation. But why didn't you come down with the hammer on Marcell Ozuna? Why didn't you come down with the hammer on Roberto Osuna? Why? When we're looking at these lengths of the, suspensions, Aroldis Chapman, 30 games. We had Jose Reyes. Don't forget about Derek Norris. He was suspended for a remainder of a season. Jose Torres. Don't forget about Stephen Wright, all my Red Sox. Why was the hammer not dropped on any of these guys? That's where I'm having a bone to pick. Why is it now? Why did it take this long? Now, if you had done that from the very beginning, if you had done that with Aroldis Chapman, or let's say Will Cordero back in 1997, whatever that, I don't remember what that case was exactly, but, go back to Chapman in 2016. Why was the hammer not dropped then? I don't understand that. So, I'm just saying, I'm looking at Bauer's case and a lot of these other cases, charges were dropped and whatever else. I'm just saying, just be consistent. That's all I'm asking. I'm not asking for any more. If you want to go ahead and suspend someone for 2 seasons, well, why didn't you do it with Will Cordero or Aroldis Chapman? That's all I'm asking. Because at the end of the day, the cases, a lot of these charges were dropped with these other players. That's all I'm saying. So I find it curious now. Why now? I'm just saying. Dondre Falcon, but I do agree the MLB was sending a message. Maybe they hate the Dodgers evil empire. Oh, those Dodgers, the new evil empire, the new evil empire. But I do think Major League Baseball was trying to send a bit of a message here. I'm not saying that as like a bad thing necessarily. I do think they want to show the people. And another thing too, I also wonder if just because it's the type of player that he is, Trevor Bauer, I'm sorry, at the end of the day, Trevor Bauer is going to be in the news more. I'm not saying this is any better. I'm just pointing out a fact here. I'm pretty sure someone like Trevor Bauer is going to be in the news more than, say, someone like, Juris Familia back in 2017. Trevor Bauer has the YouTube channel. He's with Momentum. There's a lot more outreach from Trevor Bauer. Domingo Germán, he's not posting YouTube videos. Julio Urias, he's not, doing any of that stuff either. Trevor Bauer has that outreach. He has that attention. He has that audience. So with Major League Baseball coming down hard on him here, with this specific player, in a way, maybe it kind of makes sense that they would do something like that because this is their chance to send that message. That's what I'm thinking here. I do think there was a message sent. In a way, and like I said, I'll reiterate it one more time. I'm not mad necessarily at someone being suspended. I do think it is a little long, but I do think it was also Trevor Bauer didn't agree to whatever settlement that they offered. But this is long. It is a long one. And I do think eventually they're going to reach some kind of an agreement. I do. I think there's going to be some kind of a settlement involved here. He's going to appeal. And now, I wonder how far this goes. How far is this going to go? Is this going to go, is this going to go back to court? I think it could. Absolutely, I think it could. Why couldn't it? If Bauer is that passionate about it, lawyer up. Go prove yourself in a court of law. Again, Alex Silva, I think it's because he is media circle with his YouTube. He's outspoken, so they took the one thing for Bauer he loves, which is baseball. Yeah, and it's going to be interesting. Also, I know this isn't really an important fact necessarily, but I wonder when the next time we will see Bauer on his YouTube again. It's going to be kind of weird if he just puts a vlog randomly, this coming Tuesday. And with all this stuff going on, I'm sure he's going to respond. Well, he actually has responded, but let me actually go here. Let's go to his Twitter. Another super chat coming in. You guys are amazing. Thank you for the support. Everyone, if you can, Dongre Falcon, I'll read this in just a second. Thank you to all the super chats for the support. But if you want to support the channel in another way, think about subscribing to the channel. Think about, joining. We're talking baseball here all the time. I do power rankings every Sunday night. I do hot takes every Wednesday night. Me and my best friend Josh every Monday night. We're talking about the week ahead. Everyone, if you can, hit that like button for me. It's really going to help this get out there. Hit the bell notification as well. Share the stream. Oh, Frodo Serta. Oh my goodness, man, you have been supporting this channel a ton. And now you have just become a member, my friend. Thank you so much. Let me replay that. Because I was on the other screen. Frodo Serta. I think I'm saying that right. If I'm not, I'm sorry. But you have become a member, my friend. Thank you so much. Go to the community tab. If you scroll down a little bit, you'll see a link for the Discord. So that way you can talk baseball throughout the day. So, really quick. Here we go. So, yes, Trevor Bauer on his Instagram. In the strongest possible terms, I deny committing any violation of the league's domestic violence and sexual assault policy. I'm appealing this action and expect to prevail as we have throughout this process. My representatives and I respect the confidentiality of the proceedings. So it's going to be interesting to see how far this does go. I wonder, could this end up being the whole kind of like the Tom Brady NFL Deflategate thing? Could this go to court? Could this end up going that kind of a route? I think it could. Dongre Falcon, can I replay that? Dongre Falcon, here we go, my friend. Here we go. There's that super chat that you submitted earlier. Let's see, what does it say here? Just because you're awesome, dude. Love your channel. You know what, Dongre Falcon? You're awesome. You're awesome, man. Thank you for coming out to the channel all the time. Thank you for coming out to the streams. Thank you for all your support, my friends. So, but yes, Trevor Bauer, I definitely think this could go to court. I don't see why it couldn't. If he is really that passionate, if he really thinks he didn't do anything wrong, his representatives, they got the charges dropped. So I think they seem like they're ready to fight. I will say though, this is how I'm feeling about it. I'm just ready to pull up the chair. I'm ready to take a seat. I'm ready to grab some popcorn, some Dr. Pepper. I got my lawn chair ready. I am ready to see Trevor Bauer versus Major League Baseball. I'm all about it. So, but again, kind of reiterating my main point here is, I do think it is a little long, especially if the charges were dropped. Now, if the charges were proven, if they were proven to be true, and he was charged, I would even go to the point of, suspending someone, 3 years, I don't think there's no tolerance for anything like that. I don't want anyone to think here. I hope no one is thinking that I'm supporting, how Trevor Bauer was, behind closed doors with this woman. Not at all. I'm not supporting any of that. I'm just going off of the court of law. The charges were dropped. There wasn't enough evidence to provide a conclusive determination that he was guilty. There was not. It didn't even go any further. It didn't even go to an actual, case. It got dropped. Frodo, what's going on, man? Bauer is most unlikable player in MLB. It hurt him. Yeah. And I do also wonder, if that, I know that sounds silly and it sounds a little immature, but I wonder if that is a bit of what it is as well. Bauer is a lightning rod. He will always be. He's always going to be that kind of a player and a person. He brings the attention onto himself, and I think he has no one else to blame but himself. It's either you love the guy or you hate him. I kind of had I've never hated Trevor Bauer. I never will. But there were those points where, he was out in the news and whatever. I loved Trevor Bauer. I thought there was some things where, some tweets that he would put out there, the way he would go after Rob Manfred. Some of the stuff he had was just pure entertainment. But then there's times where I'm like, oh, Bauer, we got to calm this down, dude. So Bauer is he's a lightning rod, and I think he knows that. He brings that onto himself. And I do think that has a bit of that has some sway here, because there are some people that probably they're not a big fan of Trevor Bauer. So, but again, just one more time, I just want to reiterate, I do not support any of that stuff, any domestic violence or whatever, at all. In any case, I would say if Trevor Bauer was found guilty, I would be up for suspending someone like that for a few seasons, maybe even more than that, depending on the situation. Life, I'm no tolerance of that, of any of that. I'm just going off of a court of law, and I'm just going off of the evidence, and I'm going off of what happened in court. The charges were dropped. The restraining order was never filed. There was misleading information coming from her camp. There were text messages that supported Trevor Bauer in this case. I'm not saying he didn't do anything wrong. I definitely do think there were some things he did wrong, but that is what it is. Frodo, my friend, you're just going crazy here, man. You are showing a ton of support. I love you. He's the definition of unagreeable. I agree. I agree with that definition of unagreeable. But that's kind of, in a way, it's kind of what works. It's not about, are you getting positive attention? Are you getting negative attention? But are you getting the attention? Trevor Bauer, you know who Trevor Bauer reminds me of? I don't know if we got any wrestling fans here in the chat, but Trevor Bauer to me is the CM Punk of Major League Baseball. Basically, he's got the microphone and he says, "Do I have your attention now?" That's Trevor Bauer. You can hate him, you can love him, but at the end of the day, you're going to listen to what he says. So, yeah, that's what I'm thinking here with Trevor Bauer. But my overall thoughts of Trevor Bauer's suspension, I think it's long. I think it's extremely long. I think it's completely overdone. I think it is more of a statement than anything. Because, when you're looking at this, you just got to look at the numbers here. It looks ridiculous compared to all these guys. Sam Dyson had the longest one, but it does look ridiculous. I'm just saying, but what can you do? And actually, Marcell Ozuna is not even on here. He was suspended for 20 games. Am I missing him? I don't know why he's not on this, but that's all I'm saying. I just want consistency. I just want things to be consistent. Why wasn't Aroldis Chapman or Familia or Osuna or Marcell Ozuna given over 300 games? Why? Especially Ozuna, because they had that stuff on camera. The police saw him doing it. I'm just pointing that out. That's not my opinion. That's just a fact. And it's on camera too. So, I do think at the end of the day, I think this really does come down to, you got two camps here. You're in the camp where you love Bauer and you're going to support him until the day you die, or you got the other camp where you just can't stand the guy and you just want him to get suspended for as many games as MLB sees fit. So I think there is going to be two sides here, and I could also maybe see a middle side too. I think with Bauer, at the end of the day, where I do think Bauer, like we had the super chat earlier, he represents the company. The company is a privately owned company. They have the right to do what they want. And if they felt like he wasn't representing the company in the right way, in the most professional way, and if there were some allegations like this, I do think that he should get suspended. He did miss a lot of last year. I think it ended up being around 80 games last year. I could have seen, that's why I thought, all right, he got 80 games last year, maybe half a season. I could have seen something like that. I wasn't expecting 2 seasons. I wonder what's going to end up happening. Does he sit out for the rest of this year? We'll have to wait and see. I think that if the 2-year suspension, if that's what MLB offered, I definitely think, it's going to take a lot for it to come down to 0. I'll tell you that right now. It's going to take almost an impossible amount for that to turn into 0. I definitely think he is going to see some time away. Now the question is, how much? Could it end up being the rest of the season? Could it end up being the All-Star break? Let me put a poll in the chat. I'm going to put a poll because I want to see what you all think. Let's see here. Let's see. How long will Trevor Bauer end up being suspended? I want to see what you all think here in the chat. We got around 150 people. So what was the amount here? It was 304. What was it? 324. Let's do the rest of the season. Another super chat coming in. Alex Silva, CM Bauer. Haha, love it. I'm right? I'm just saying. He's like CM Punk, basically. You think no matter what, Dodgers will cut him to avoid the media problems because the Dodgers are the poster for MLB. Yeah. I'm just saying, because I just don't know the actual how that works. I don't know. I don't actually know the answer for you, so I don't want to just give you an answer. But I would imagine they'll probably go through the appeal, and then they will. But I wonder if the Dodgers won't do anything until then. So I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But let me finish up with this poll. So I put 324 games, the rest of the season until the All-Star break. Let me add another option. Let's see. How long? So let me see. How long will Trevor Bauer end up being suspended? Let's do All-Star break next. 1 second, everyone. I'm putting a poll up for you, so stay tuned. Okay, here we go. I put 4 choices. Here's the poll. The poll is ready, everyone. Here's the poll. All right, let's see. What are you guys saying? We got 18 votes already. So I'm seeing 324 games, 17%. All-Star break next season, 28%. End of the season, 45%. All-Star break this season. It does feel like maybe the rest of this season he's going to get until... I feel like that, based off of what Major League Baseball did, it feels like the end of the season would be the most rational answer. Yeah, Frodo, that's another thing, too. There was a report last year where the Dodgers, they didn't really seem too fond of how Trevor Bauer was conducting himself. So, but let's go back to this poll here. What are you guys thinking? Hey, Garrett Russell, thank you for subscribing, my friend. Hey, Ballcap Sports is here. Ballcap, I saw you were live earlier. Man, you're quick. You're quick to do it, man. I was coming home from work, and I'm like, oh, man, we got a juicy story. I thought about actually just doing a video, but I was like, you know what, I'll go live. And I was looking, see if anyone else was live. And I'm like, of course Ballcap Sports is live. Ballcap Sports is always on top of all the stories out there. Everyone, go subscribe to Ballcap. He is wonderful. But let's taking a look here. What do we got? I can't see the poll on my phone. All right, let me come back here. What's the poll looking like? 83 votes so far. So 44% as of right now think the end of the season is when Bauer will end up being suspended until. So, yeah. I think that could end up being it. I think it's either going to be the end of the season. I know, right? Ballcap. It's crazy, right? It's like, why does this stuff have to happen? Can it just wait an hour for, me to get home, for you too? I know you got to, pick up the kids and whatever else. And here's my dopey self just trying to get home from work. But yeah, I would imagine with Bauer, if 2-year suspension, end of the season feels like it's probably the sweet spot if you were to come to a settlement. I think it ends up being either the end of the season or Trevor Bauer does the unthinkable and he brings this to court and whatever else, and then there ends up being no suspension. And then whatever, and then he gets all of his money back or whatever it is or whatever. it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. I think it could end up being that kind of a Tom Brady sort of a thing. Because you got to remember, none of these other guys, at least I don't think, I'm thinking off the top of my head, I don't think any of these other guys have, threatened to bring Major League Baseball to court. I think if there's anyone that could do it, it's Bauer. I don't know if any other player has tried doing that. Would be really interesting. Would that be in his best interest to try and bring Major League Baseball to court? You got to think is it going to be worth it? Because you got to think from a financial point, you're looking, legal fees, whatever else, is it going to end up being worth it? Does he feel like he has a chance? I feel like if him and his representatives and lawyers or whoever it is think that he has a chance here, then I could see them doing it. I absolutely think so. But you guys are amazing. 152 people here in the chat. Really do appreciate you all coming out. Again, if any of you missed it, any Blue Jays fans out there, Ball Cap, I know you're out there. I put a video about Jose Bautista this morning. Just kind of ran through his career in about 10 minutes. And because it's interesting. I loved Jose Bautista's career. The fact that this guy was on 5 different teams in one season. Are you kidding me? He was on the Pirates. He was on the Rays. He was on the Orioles. He was on the Royals. And then he was on the Blue Jays. Or he was on the Mets. Or no, wait, did I get that right? He was on the Mets, too, in that season. I think I got one of those wrong. But, yeah, goodness gracious. What was that, 2008? I think it was 2008. He was on 5 different teams and ends up just becoming a legend in Toronto Blue Jays history. But, yeah, go check out that video if you haven't. I enjoyed looking back on his career. This is pretty much all we got here. I can take a look here. Anyone else saying anything? Let's see. So Bob Nightingale, he said Trevor Bauer's Dodgers career lasts 17 starts. Well, there were 17 pretty good starts, I'll say that. Jeff Passan, the possibility of a long suspension always existed for Bauer. This was from a story we ran last August. Still around the sport, there is a surprise that the 2 years, most of the MLB actually came down that heavily, and that it did so knowing Bauer would fight it. So, yeah, I think everyone can agree. It is a long time, especially considering there was nothing that materialized in court, So it is surprising. So Trevor Bauer's 324-game suspension is the longest in the 6+ years of MLB's domestic violence policy. And he is the first one. Okay, so I was talking earlier. I'm like, did anyone try bringing, MLB to court? But he's the first one to ever appeal. So that's not even just bringing him to court. He's just appealing. So he's the first one to ever do it. Bauer's a bold dude. He's a bold dude. And I wonder how far this ends up going. But yeah. I don't know if there's not really any much else. But again, Bauer, he came out and he just said here, I deny committing any violation of the league's domestic violence and sexual assault policy. I am appealing this action and expect to prevail. As we have throughout this process, my representatives and I respect the confidentiality of the proceedings. So it's going to be interesting, everyone. It's going to be very interesting. Let me just kind of see what you guys are saying here in the chat. Lionheart70, thank you so much, my friend. I'm glad you watched the video on Jose Bautista. Michael Robinson, look at how the Johnny Depp trial is going. Hold on, let me pull up this tweet really quick. Where is it? Here we go. Look at how the Johnny Depp trial is going. It's going to be interesting to watch the Bauer trial against his accuser. I wonder if it goes that far. I wonder if it ends up going to court here. So I got to say, the Johnny Depp trial has been, I know it's not fun for anyone involved, but it's pretty interesting to see like a whole trial playing out and people are laughing in the court and Johnny Depp is just Depp has been hysterical at times. He's just broken down laughing at times. Frodo, $5 super chat. What does it say? Probably won't go to court. My guess is language and contract forces arbitration. Sorry, I'm reading off my phone. Like Brady, he will likely lose in court because arbitration is binding. Yeah. So I wonder if he ends up. I guess if it doesn't go to court, if it just goes to arbitration and whatever through the appeal process, I wonder if it ends up being brought down to maybe just the rest of the season. So we'll have to wait and see. Thank you so much. Joshua Stevens, court is biased towards women. Yeah. It definitely seems that way. It definitely does seem that way. I mean, the Johnny Depp thing is very eye-opening. I'm not saying it's the same kind of a case, but it is very eye-opening because that's kind of what happened at first, right? And now everyone seems to be on Johnny Depp's side. You don't really see anyone, supporting Amber Heard really in a court of public opinion. We just had another super chat come in. Brendan DH, I like how the chat is having a really civil conversation about such a touchy subject. And Brendan, I appreciate you saying that. I'll be honest with you. I thought about not going live. I didn't know if this was going because I know how people will feel. For me, I'm always down the middle. I'm always going to hear both sides. I love conversation. You all know me. I don't stop talking. But I love conversation, and I like to hear different opinions, and I like to see how people think about things. I like to see how people feel about things because there's a lot of times where, hey, maybe I can learn something. I'm a dope. I have a potato for a brain. So I like to hear other people's opinions sometimes because it's like, oh, I didn't think of it that way, right? So that's why I like having conversation, and I appreciate everyone in the chat being, civil, and I really do. I thank all of you for coming out. You're a great community. If you want to stay away from, non-civil discussion, please stay off of Twitter because it's the most amazing place on earth. It's full of intelligent people. It's full of people with high IQs. You might want to, maybe not dabble in Twitter. I'm sarcastic when I say all of that. So let's see here. Knight, good perspective. Having free and open discussion is very important for us to grow. I agree. We have to. We have to get to that point. Now, I'm not saying go out there and start shouting from the mountaintops, just ridiculous statements and everything like that. But, I think we all need to have conversation. We all need to have those awkward conversations sometimes. That's what helps us grow, So Lionheart 70, my potato brain is baked. Mine is too. Wait, not in that way. What do you mean? I'm not sure what you mean by that. My potato brain is fried. Now, baked, I'm not quite sure what you mean by that. I'm not sure what you mean. Twitter, much better ever since Musk took over. Twitter's been interesting. It's been an interesting place the last few days. It's been pretty fun to kind of read everything. I'm going to be honest with you. Just seeing people just going crazy either or. So I enjoy it. But let's see. Frodo, he says, totally agree. Jason went and looked at Deflategate case. Can end up being very similar. Oh, what did Jason, what did you say about that? Jason, you said here you missed a golden opportunity to say it's not that. That's a good one. Brian, I never liked Trevor Bauer. He comes off as a jerk. And you have every right to feel that way. I could see a lot of people thinking that way. I would love to meet Trevor Bauer one day. I would like to just have a conversation with the guy. I wonder how he is, like, just in a natural setting. But let's see what else we're saying here. Sam Dyson. He did. Yeah, that Sam Dyson suspension was that was a good one. That was a long one. So, what does this say? I'm sorry. I'm trying to read off my phone. Of course, I left my iPad charger at work, so iPad's going to be dead this weekend. He says here, yeah, it's a slippery slope for both sides going into an arbitration ruling because once it's on the books, it's set in stone. Yeah. So, Sean Peake says baseball needs Trevor back. I do think he brings eyeballs onto the sport. At the end of the day, does Major League Baseball like the way he brings eyeballs? I'm not quite sure about that, but he does bring eyeballs. That is for sure. A Living Yeti. Oh, what a great name. Just trying to get as much info as possible. Legal issues are generally beyond my intelligence. Oh, me too, my friend. Me too. That's why I have a police officer, our friend that's a police officer. So usually I tend to ask him about that kind of stuff. Never really been a Bauer guy, but the extremity of the punishment seems far-fetched. And I think that's a very fair I think it's very fair of you to say. I think that's one of the more fair opinions out there. I do agree with you. You don't have to like the guy, but I do think it's not about liking someone or not. It's about the length of the suspension. I think people need to focus on that. You should take your feelings and emotions out of a person for it. I agree. I think that's actually Frodo Serta, go get an iPad charger. Oh man, I need to go back. Dude, I'm so far away from my job. I'm like 30 minutes and probably like 45 minutes in traffic. Oh, I'm like, I don't even want to go get it. I don't even want to go get it. Frodo, man, I appreciate that. I'm going to have to go just buy a backup one. Might have to buy a backup one. So Thomas, he's brought eyeballs by constantly attacking the league, though. Honestly, not surprised the union isn't going to battleground for him. That is also another good point. You know, you haven't really heard anything about the union. That's a good point you're making. He definitely, again, that's getting back to the lightning rod part of it. You know, he's the CM Punk of baseball. You know, you don't have to like what he says. You know, you can like what he says. You don't have to like it, but usually people listen to what he says. Now, agreeing with him or disagreeing with him, that's a different story. But everyone, I think I'm going to get out of here in a few minutes. Another super chat coming in. Sermon King, look at what the NCAA did with the University of Southern California with the whole Reggie Bush thing. Oh yeah, that is interesting. Yeah, I remember that. So if we actually go look here, Reggie, I remember the whole case. I'm not fully. I'd have to look back at this. Man, this was how long? Yeah, this was back in like 12 years ago. So yeah, the Heisman scandal, right? I think this is what you're talking about. So he returned the Heisman Trophy. What the heck is going on here? So Reggie Bush has voluntarily decided to hand over his Heisman Trophy. There's the super chat. Sermon, thank you so much. The former USC star running back won the award in 2005 after amassing over 2,200 total yards. One of the greatest honors of my life was winning the Heisman. For me, it was a dream come true. But one of the requirements to be eligible for the award was that the player must be in compliance with the NCAA rules. Bush reportedly received improper benefits while at USC, and the case was under review. USC has been facing similar issues with several of their athletes, including O.J. Mayo, and received heavy punishments as a result. So I think this is what you're talking about here, right? I think this is what you're talking about. Allegations that Bush's family received hundreds of thousands of dollars in gifts was reported in 2006, which was just months after the Saints drafted him at number 2. Man, I remember Reggie Bush, man. He was so good. He was so good. Once investigations began, Bush immediately denied that he had taken wrong actions. Of course, fast forward a few years later to the present day, and it's apparent that he had. So, you know, definitely different cases here. But I understand what you mean by the precedent where, you know, they did have to come down hard on it. So, but yeah, the whole, you know, USC entirely. What was USC's? What was the punishment overall? So, I know I'm looking. I know Wikipedia is not the best source, but whatever. I feel like with sports it tends to be fine. So, you know, whatever. Let's see. Investigated and punished for NCAA rules. The sanctions were announced 2010. What was the punishment? As a result, the sanctions issued by both USC and the NCAA received some of the harshest penalties ever by the Division I program. The football team was forced to vacate the final 2 wins of its 2004 national championship season, as well as all of its wins in 2005. It was banned from bowl games in 2010 and 2011. Docked 30 scholarships over 3 years. This is all coming back to me now. Basketball team gave up all their wins. Yeah, I mean, again, I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing to really drop the hammer. You know, I think you have to really, you got to send a message. You do. I think Major League Baseball, they just waited a little too long. Frodo, what's going on? I'll Venmo you so you can buy a charger. Appreciate that, dude. Nah, I am good. I'm probably just going to go back to work and go get my charger. Hopefully, I'll still be able to get in. Hopefully, I know my classroom's unlocked, but I don't know if the actual building will be locked. So we're going to have to wait and see. But Brendan D.H., University of Spoiled Children. Oh, man. But yeah, so same kind of a thing where USC, they definitely, dropped a hammer here, back, 2010. They really came down hard on them, took away a lot of scholarships, took away a lot of wins. Reggie Bush had to return the Heisman. But one more time before I do get out of here. In the strongest possible terms, I deny committing any violation of the league's domestic violence and sexual assault policy. I am appealing this action and expect to prevail as we have throughout this process. My representatives and I respect the confidentiality of the proceedings. Now, what ends up happening next, there's going to be an appeal. How far that goes, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But that is the news for now, everyone. That is the news. You know what? Actually, here, while I have all of you here, hey, let's talk. Let's end this on a good note. Let's kind of just look at the games tonight. Let's look at the games going on really quick. Hey, Padres, they're off to they're playing pretty well lately, 13-7. You got to love that the Padres and the Mets are both playing well, especially after duds of second halves last season. So nice to see those two teams off to good starts. Ronald Acuna Jr. coming back yesterday. That was my MVP pick last year. So it's nice to see Ronald Acuna Jr. back. And before May, I love it. I love that he's back in April. Hey, man. Hey, Acuna. Hey, let's go win that MVP. I picked you last year. Can you, get back on track, my friend. But it's good to see him back. One of the best players in the game. The game is better when Acuna is here. Frodo, I insist, get a home and work charger. I actually agree. Hey, Frodo, thank you so much for all the support. I do agree. I do need to get a backup charger. Usually I don't forget my charger, but I was rushing home earlier. So potato brain. So, but yeah, Ronald Acuna Jr., he is back. My Red Sox stink. Come on. What are we doing? What are we doing here? Yeah, I don't know about this Red Sox team. I was telling you all my offseason or the preseason predictions for this year. I wasn't feeling my Red Sox this year. I just wasn't. I don't know. Mariners, Marlins. This is actually a pretty underrated game. Pretty underrated series. The Mariners and the Marlins. Marlins are actually doing a lot better than what you might think. Their offense has actually been doing pretty decent. Starting pitching is actually doing pretty good. The bullpen's, it's not great. But Marlins, man, look out for the Marlins. I actually like this series here, the Mariners and the Marlins. Pretty fun one. The Twins and the Rays. Hey, Twins, they're red hot lately. The Rays, they're always the Rays. Phillies, Mets, divisional matchup again tonight. Angels, they're playing really good baseball lately. The White Sox, they are just slumping lately. So it's basically two different teams here. Angels and White Sox, they are just trending in different directions right now. The Yankees are playing great. Braves, they're starting to show some signs. I think Acuna, like we just talked about, he's going to give them a bit of a boost. Got Cubs, Brewers tonight, divisional matchup. Diamondbacks, Cardinals. What else we got? We got the A's and the Guardians tonight. Tigers, Dodgers. That's Tigers. I wonder how much they got, but I do like the Tigers. I think they got some talent. Giants going up against the Nationals. So, got some fun games on. I think Apple TV, we're going to be seeing a couple of games on Apple TV tonight. So if you do have Apple, definitely go check those out. Royals and the Yankees on Apple TV tonight, and the Nationals and the Giants. Who is that girl from ESPN that's doing it? She's going to be commentating. I'm not a fan. I'm sorry. I'm not a fan. I don't remember her name. I don't know. What's her name? Like Katie something? Ugh. Come on. Really? Apple TV. That's the best you could do. I mean, I'm no disrespect, but it's like, come on. You could have gotten anyone, I don't know. I would have liked some, no, not Jessica Mendoza. It's someone else. It's like Katie something. I don't remember, but, would have been nice to see, maybe a former player or something, do some commentating, but I don't know. But will be interesting to see how that broadcast goes. I think these are the first games. Did they have games on last Friday for Apple TV? I can't remember. I'm only hearing about it today, so I don't know. But that's all I got for tonight, everyone. We've got some good games on here tonight. We talked about Trevor Bauer. I will be back Sunday for the power rankings. Make sure you're here Sunday. There's going to be a lot of changes in my power rankings. I actually was kind of dabbling in them today a little bit. We still have tonight, and we still have tomorrow as well for some teams to move up and down a little bit. But I'm already seeing there's definitely some movement in my power rankings. So for those of you that I disappointed this past Sunday, maybe I can make it up to you this Sunday. We'll have to wait and see. We got to see today and tomorrow. So, don't get too excited. But there will be some changes in the week 2 power rankings. So make sure you are here Sunday night, probably 9 o'clock, somewhere in that range. Also, don't forget, I just posted a video on Jose Batista today. It was pretty fun looking back at his career. It was an interesting one. Go take a look at that. Go to the community tab. We have a poll for my next video, so please go vote on that if you have not already. And one more time, if you can, subscribe to the channel. If you are new, hit that like button on your way out. Hit the bell notification. Share the screen. Don't forget, we have partnerships with SeatGeek. $20 off your first purchase. If you're going to a game, use my code HYDE. You get $20 off on SeatGeek. And we're also partnered with Prize Picks. Hey, if you're looking to win a few extra bucks, kind of like FanDuel, kind of like DraftKings, go on Prize Picks. Use my code GINGER. Whatever you deposit, they will match it 100%. Everyone, I'm going to get out of here. Enjoy your Friday night. I don't think Trevor Bauer is going to be enjoying his Friday night very much. But we'll have to see what ends up happening with that whole thing. Everyone, have yourself a good Friday night. Have yourself a good weekend. And I'll talk to you next time.